Jon Stewart is coming out with a new film called Irresistible, and as part of promoting that film, he gave what is a fairly rare interview where he weighed in on everything from police brutality to the media landscape to the political landscape to whether or not he misses a show, all of these things. And of course, the media critique really caught our eye, and that, of course, is what Jon Stewart was so incredibly skilled at, deft at, and made famous for. So he talked about what his regrets were with regards to his show, and he felt that, if we can throw this up here, he felt that the part he most regretted was those moments when you had a tendency, even subconsciously, to feel like we have to live up to the evisceration expectation. We try to not give something more spice than it deserved, but you were aware of, say, what went viral. Resisting that gravitational force is really hard. So Saagar, basically talking about the way that even someone like him, who's kind of like aware of the media landscape, aware of the incentives, like it's hard not to turn it into a cage match just given the structure of the system.
That's something we try so hard not to do here, is to have interviews which are long and say, hey, what do you really think? Well, what about this? And all of it in good faith. And that's something that most media, both sides, are just so bereft at doing, and the reason why is that they can't do it. They only have 3 minutes, so they have to go. It's like hit back, cage match, blah blah blah. All right, commercial break. It's all about getting people's dopamine all jacked up and then leaving because they don't have or want the time. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a sugar high, and it's salacious. You know, people will watch it because they want to see the train wreck.
Yes.
But you repeat that over and over and over again over 24-hour news. He also says something quite insightful, which is basically like, you don't need 24-hour news networks outside of some massive event like 9/11. So, and this is the point that Matt Taibbi makes in Hate Inc., which I always thought was so smart. Like, after the Cold War ended, in order to feed that ratings, like gin up the enemy and get people to watch and be agitated and engaged and get that dopamine hit and all of that, basically the enemy that cable news created was each other. So if you go to CNN, you go to MSNBC, you see one enemy, right? And there's a reason why the moral of literally every story is Trump is bad, right? And if you go to Fox, literally the moral of every story is Democrats are bad or liberals are bad or the left is bad, because we needed those enemies to be able to feed that like ratings hunger. So that's what we end up with. And, you know, Jon Stewart, as always, like, sees it exactly for what it is.
Yeah, he really does. And one of the things that he fell into, he talks about that media narcissism, where he says that, you know, he's like, oh, well, what do you think about the handling of the news media? And he's like, one of the issues is they allow themselves to get pulled into the game. Like, politicians' job is to manipulate public opinion to their political ends. But the media is refusing in order to actually call things out on its face the way that Jon Stewart does, because they are buying into that narrative. They want to just become assistants to people in power and not actually call them out. And it's something that, I mean, nobody's ever call out their own side.
Right.
And one of the things I love about this, you pointed this out, was whenever he goes after Nancy Pelosi.
Right.
And he talks about a particular interview. He says, the politicians don't even know how effed up their system is. Nancy Pelosi was on The Daily Show. We were talking about how money is corrupting influence in politics. I said, you raised $30 million. How does that money corrupt you? She said, it doesn't. So money corrupts, but not you? That's someone within the system. And I went to, and I thought, that is so perfect, because he talks about how because one of the things he's most famous for that we covered was his assistance with the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund.
Yeah.
And how he's like, we had a program that was working. Bureaucratically, it wasn't broken. But what is broken about Washington isn't bureaucracy. It's legislators' ability to address issues inherent in any society. And the reason they can't address them is that because you have a duopoly, there is no incentive to work together to create something better.
Wow. I mean, it's incredible that he had a platform for as long as he did and got away with calling it. Like, you know where his ideologically bread is buttered. Like, he's a progressive, he's a liberal, like, that is his perspective, but he actually had some principles. So it wasn't just like, oh, the Democrats are always amazing, the Republicans are always terrible. He actually tried to follow his principles. He got asked, and this was an interesting answer too, whether the media was meeting the political moment. Let's throw that one up to see his answer on that particular question. He essentially says, I don't think it's ever had a good handle on a political moment. It's not designed for that. It's designed for engagement. It's like YouTube and Facebook, an information laundering perpetual radicalization machine. It's like porn. I don't mean to be that flip. When you were pubescent, the mere hint of a bra strap could send you into ecstasy. I'm 57 now. If it's not two nuns and a mule, I can't even watch it. The algorithm is not designed for thoughtful engagement and clarity. It is designed to make you look at it longer. And as we think about the power that these social media companies have by nature of their size, and how much they can manipulate what we see and how we think about the world just by the way that they tweak what they're surfacing, what's allowed to be seen, what's out of bounds. It's such a reflection on, it's all about that titillation, that engagement. It's not about, are we having a thoughtful conversation? Is this accurate? Is it smart? Is it respectful? Does it make the country better? Which is why we try to highlight the rare places and media destinations on this show, like Joe Rogan as one example, that actually have been able to both have success, but also have those longer, more thoughtful, less ugly, more like sort of charitable, I would say, not looking for the worst in one another type of conversations.
Yeah, I think that's right. I really encourage everybody to go read the full interview. And apparently he has a hilarious movie coming out about a Democrat and a Republican in a mayoral race called Irresistible. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Tomorrow on Rising, friend of the show, Colin Rogero, returns with his thoughts on the political landscape. I missed that guy. And the Trump campaign's director of strategic communications, Mark Lauder, is going to discuss the latest campaign news. He's got some polls to answer for.
Yeah, he certainly does. All right, make sure you guys like, share this video, and other people can find it. And of course, subscribe. We'll see you guys tomorrow.